Good morning, everyone. Happy day. Hey, I am going to do the Chapter 7 overview. This chapter is titled Children's Study of Time, Continuity, and Change, focusing on history, obviously. The main topics that it covers are science, technology, society, and history. It's going to go into some details about time, change, the continuity of human life, the past, and the methods of a historian. So I'm going to go ahead and share some of the chapter information and some personal notes also as I'm going through. So um, human beings always are seeking to understand themselves by understanding the past. Young children are highly interested in the past. John Dewey in 1966 recognized that children's interests in the study of history and realized that they really wanted to know more about where did they come from and what happened before. This really made me think about some quotes that we're destined to repeat our mistakes if we don't know our past. Another is those who cannot remember our past are condemned to repeat it. So the study of history is definitely an important piece, but how do we include that in pre K primary levels? Well, we're going to go ahead and talk about some examples. The book has really great examples too. I'm just going to point out a couple of things and just kind of give you a brief overview. So the study of history has been defined as a time-oriented study that refers to what we do know about the past. So thinking about the National Council of Social Studies, standard number 2 is time, continuity, and change. The key concepts for that are time, change, the continuity of human life, the past, and the methods of a historian. So the authors of the National History Methods believe that when history is presented to children in ways that are appropriate to their development, that children, even the earliest grades, can begin to build a historical understanding and perspectives and begin to think historically. The big thing is that we use their past, their history, and their experiences to really make it relevant for them. Standard number 8 addresses the relationships between science, technology, and society with a focus on change over time. Think about the last few months and how your life has possibly changed dramatically, especially when it comes to technology. The social studies standard is closely integrated with science, and it's linked to geography, economics, civics, and global connections. So no one would have expected this technology explosion that we've had even a few years ago. I highly recommend, if you have not seen it, on Netflix, if you have access to that, a 2020 documentary came out called The Social Dilemma, and it talks about how Facebook and our phones work to guide us towards things that we're interested in. I happen to like cat videos. I get a lot of cat and animal videos. I don't know. They make me smile and laugh, and sometimes I need that distraction. But it is really interesting to look at how things have evolved, why they evolved, and how some of the people that used to be into it, creating it, have really said, whoa, let's really look at what's happening. And so again, I think the history of technology is an interesting piece, but I digress. So the development of time concepts in young children is intuitive rather than chronological. You've probably known that. If you tell a kid at 2:00 we're going to do this. Preschool, kindergarten, first grade probably are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Intuition is based on what one feels to be true. And so we're going to use things like routines for kids. Limited to the perception of the duration of time for kids, also their ability to sequence and organize daily experiences. Their intuitive ideas of time are subjective. Not until children enter formal operations, and that's Jean Piaget, near the beginning of adolescence are they able to master operational time. And in the book, there's a chart on page 210, really small one, but it's kind of interesting. It talks about how kids are learning how to tell time throughout that. I can remember working with my kids, telling them as long as a cartoon, of course, my kids are 25 now, so that might not work as well anymore. As long as it takes to do this task, or we're going to do this and then that. And so using those kinds of time telling things. I mentioned John Piaget, and he came up with the different stages that people go through their life. And formal operations is the final cognitive stage. He believes that we enter around 11 or 12 years old. It's when we have the ability to formulate, hypothesize, and synthesize, kind of test to arrive at answers. Thinking abstractly for younger children, they don't have the brain ability to do that yet. The frontal cortex has not fully developed until we get to those ages, and so the concept of time is just really difficult for them. They have trouble manipulating ideas in their head. But routines can teach time. And in preschool and primary grades, those are their regular, there should be regular routines. Children in the primary grades can chart their own routines and take more responsibility for scheduling their day. There are lots of books that can supplement children's firsthand experiences with routines, and I'm going to refer to lots of books. The book gives you some examples, and I actually Googled books on routines, primary books, and there's a huge list of stuff out there to help kids, understand time and history. So I'm not going to list them here, but that's kind of a suggestion. Excuse me. Children may not be able to measure time conventionally really until about age 8 or 9. So, that's about second grade. And you can prepare children for measuring time with a clock by giving kids meaningful experiences with concepts of duration. So how long does something take? Sequence events, what order, and temporal order, which will help them prepare to tell time in a traditional way. The question is, do I teach them digital time, or do I teach them the hands, the long hand, the short hand? I know some high school students that I work with that cannot tell time on a regular clock. They've only learned how to tell digital time. I don't know. It seems kind of weird to me. In the book, though, they give examples of how to teach kids about that. So learning about history requires that children develop a sense of passage of time. So there's a chapter or a section in the chapter with suggestions for assessing this development. The history study is a study of change, and change is universal. It doesn't matter where you live, there's changes that happen. Surrounding children with opportunities to experience change, the immediate environment offers lots of learning tools. Having those routines placed in charts, whether they be visual or practice, can help, but letting kids know how we change throughout the day can be one thing, but then also understanding how things change. So some examples of different ways that we can help kids is to give them lots of experiences. So in school, things are constantly changing. And leaving the school building and the schoolyard can help children recognize that many changes occur in their immediate neighborhood. Watching changes in nature can provide many opportunities to experience a concept of change. So watching the seasons change, the leaves turn different colors and then fall off the trees, those kinds of things can really help kids understand, so we go through a progression. And children's study of history can begin with the study of themselves, focus on how they're changing. So you could take time progression photos, which don't always, that's a longitudinal kind of study. But you could, and I'm going to use this example a couple times, take those pictures of like a banana, a green banana to a brown banana. Isn't the child, but you're going to get kind of a good recording of, if you're taking those time progression photos, helping kids understand how things change. So going back to kind of the continuity of human life, we can show that for kids through family histories. Children can gain a sense of continuity in several ways. So stories and narratives of family life long ago put primary age kids in touch with the continuity of life and understanding that even though life changes, humans continue to share the same emotions and feelings. Having guest speakers come in, and first, obviously, asking families if they're willing to share, if there's a grandparent, sometimes even great grandparents, and have them come and talk about when they were young and the different things that they did. And then having those different ages talk about it, but then also talk about the same things and the activities that they share with kids. Intergenerational programs in the school can provide a way for children and elders to enjoy one's company and to learn from one another. Celebrating traditions and holidays, as people have always done, also gives kids the feeling of connection among human experiences. Cultural universals such as food, clothing, shelter, and transportation include many connections to history, change and continuity, science, and technology. Now, I know in some of the past readings, it's talked about holidays, and I had a lot of people commenting about they appreciated it talking about celebrating. There was some confusion about my school doesn't celebrate, some of my students don't celebrate anything. When we're looking at celebrations, we do need to be aware of the family culture and history, if you will. And I don't just mean their ethnic background, but to me, family culture has to do with what are their traditions, what do they celebrate, what do they believe in, what are their values and morals. And asking families to share that in a variety of ways is a great way to help kids see other people's point of views, and then also understanding the past. Why do the families do these different things? And some of you asked, how can I get families to share? Our one thought often is having families come in and talk, but not all families feel comfortable with that. Another way is to send artifacts from home, personal items or photos, but again, not all families are willing to part with those things. Having them send in maybe a video of them talking, or a video or a screenshot of something might be another way that you can encourage those families. Again, celebrating holidays, you have to go with what your program believes in. And it's kind of tricky. And I have this philosophy that, like, I don't say happy birthday to students at all. And my reasoning is I would be mortified if I forgot someone's birthday. So I just stay away from it. And also, I would feel very upset if I wish someone a happy holiday or a birthday and they did not celebrate that. So I just stay away from that, but everybody would have their own personal beliefs on that. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so helping children understand and explore the past does not mean that you teach them a true historical sense of time. We're not going to say, okay, in 1776, that means nothing to them. But helping kids gain a concept of the past, shuttling back and forth between the present and the future. And the past. Many resources are available to help kids understand the past. And calling in those people, having them look at real objects can help them understand. And then books, stories, art, and music are great ways to experience how life might have been in the past. So encouraging children in developing inquiry skills and the habit of questioning can also begin developing the skills of a historian. We call that scientific inquiry. Helping kids generate questions and identify problems, gather information, observe data, analyze the information, and draw conclusions. So going back to my idea of taking the pictures of a banana, or you can have it just right in front of you, looking at helping kids with the scientific inquiry. So asking them, we have a green banana. What happens if we let it sit here for a long period of time? And recording the kids' ideas and thoughts about what might happen to that green, yellow banana. Then you're going to give kids some way for observing and recording. So maybe it's a day 1, color, day 2, firmness or whatever. And so having kids observe and make recordings. Asking the kids about the trends. What are we noticing along the way as you're gathering this information? And then at the end, identifying with the brown banana, were we right? Did we expect that this greenish yellow banana was going to turn brown at the end? And what happened and why? And then thinking about activities to work with young kids, having them taste kind of a underripe banana, having them taste a middle banana, and then having them look at the brown banana and saying, do you want to eat this? My guess is most kids are going to say no. And then you do a project where you teach them how to make banana bread. And then everybody can taste the banana bread and find out, oh, what a great way to taste that. So as I was thinking about, studying the past and really understanding progression of time and continuity, and then using the scientific reasoning, I came up with that idea. I don't know. Maybe a great idea, maybe not. I don't know. So that's chapter 7. So looking at the key concepts that we want kids to study, how are we going to help them? And again, your textbook has a lot of good examples in it. So that's chapter 7. Hopefully that helps you give a little different idea rather than just reading all the information. And I will see you next week. Take care.